It's Tuesday, the 30th of May, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's jump straight into story number 1. It is basically the latest on an ongoing saga. Embattled consulting giant PwC will now put 9 senior partners on leave and ring-fence its federal government advisory business as Prime Minister Anthony Albanese weighs in, calling the scandal a terrible indictment of the firm.
PwC is trying to demonstrate to clients, including the federal government, that it's taking decisive action over its ongoing tax leaks scandal. Now, according to Financial Review, the partners of PwC met yesterday, and during it, the chair, Tracy Kinnear, and its governance board risk chair, Paddy Carney, stepped down. 2 independent non-executive directors were appointed to the board. That's the first time that's happened. The hope is that the announcement will calm clients, particularly Canberra. For those who haven't been following the story, but dozens of PwC partners received emails related to plans to use confidential government tax policy information to win new clients. Albanese on radio yesterday said what went on was totally unacceptable, and he wants the list of PwC employees allegedly involved in the tax advice scandal to be made public. Finance Department officials aren't so fussed on doing that, saying naming the partners involved in the scandal could disrupt the criminal investigation, which of course is being handled by the Australian Federal Police.
Sean, PwC is a giant, all right, but the scale of this is unprecedented. So will PwC survive?
It's a fair question, probably, but I don't think in the same form. Will it have to separate its audit and consulting business? Will it keep its partners? Will it keep its clients? I'm not just talking about the government here. There's plenty of stories around suggesting corporate Australia isn't real happy working with PwC. My best guess is PwC will never be the same.
Sean, on to story number 2. The country's most popular premier, Mark McGowan from WA, has resigned, saying he wants to be remembered as an achiever and needs to step down before signs of his exhaustion begin showing.
McGowan is the most popular premier within their own state and said it's been an honour and privilege to serve the people of Western Australia. McGowan entered state politics in 1996. He was first elected premier in 2017. He won a massive victory again in 2021. Perhaps he'll be best remembered for how he handled himself and his state during COVID, effectively sealed off the borders. It had ended up in a legal dispute with Clive Palmer. Plenty of other states weren't happy, nor were businesses really. But there were plenty of plaudits for the WA Premier yesterday. Anthony Albanese congratulated him on his tenure as the state's leader, saying he improved lives and created progress on social media. Fellow Labor Premier from Queensland, Anastasia Palaszczuk, said it was a pleasure working with McGowan, describing him as a tireless worker.
Story number 3, the chief executive of low-cost airline Jetstar, Stephanie Tully, has blamed, quote, unique supply chain issues for its ongoing problems and has apologised to customers.
She also promised a return to pre-pandemic service standards by the middle of 2023. She said fixing the operational performance of the Qantas subsidiary was her main priority. The airline cancelled 1 in every 12 flights in April, and more than 40% of its flights experienced delays when the industry average is closer to 30%. Ms. Tully said bringing forward check-in times certainly was helping improve performance, although the more significant factor was supply chain bottlenecks holding up critical mechanical flaws. Before we leave this one, Michael, Tully was yesterday joined by outgoing Qantas CEO Alan Joyce. They farewelled the group's final Boeing 717 aircraft, which has been in service for nearly 20 years, 19 years in fact, and it's been sold to an undisclosed North American carrier. Won't see those planes at least bearing the Qantas logo anymore.
Oh, I suppose remember when Qantas retired its last 747?
Yes.
And that was very dramatic, and there was all the kind of the flybys and all of that kind of thing. They managed to sneak this one out fairly quietly, didn't they?
Yeah, well, yeah. So I think the 717 isn't quite the 747 though.
I know, but I think every aircraft needs a proper send-off, Sean. On to story number 4. From this week, Sean, about 3 million people will start getting higher HEX bills, and now crossbench MPs are pushing the Albanese government to intervene.
The indexation on university debt repayments is tied to inflation, and the higher rate kicks in from June 1. Increased repayments on the higher education loans program debts will average $1,769 a year when the 7.1 indexation kicks in. Now, the debts don't attract interest, but they are indexed to inflation based on the Consumer Price Index. Last year, the hike was 3.9%. Several crossbench MPs have written to the Prime Minister and Minister for Education Jason Clare about it, saying larger debts take much longer to pay off and student debt is becoming a lifelong burden for too many.
All right, on to story number 5, Sean. And I've got to say, the fifth story on this podcast in general seems to be drifting further and further from the realms of business news. But it seems to be the story that I remember each day. And this one's an absolute cracker. Yesterday, we had the Indian food inspector who drained a dam in order to find his phone that he dropped while he was taking a selfie. Today, we've got a nun who has moved one step closer to sainthood after her exhumed body showed no signs of decay 4 years after it was buried.
Pilgrims are now flocking to Missouri to see the impeccably well-preserved body of Sister Wilhelmina Lancaster, according to the Daily Telegraph of London. Sister Wilhelmina, the founder of the Benedictine Sisters of Mary, Queen of the Apostles in Missouri, died at the age of 95 in May 2019. She was buried without being embalmed in a cracked wooden coffin, which exposed her body to moisture, obviously, when her remains were exhumed on May 18 to be moved to the monastery chapel that it was intended to be her final resting place. The Benedictine sisters expected to find bones. However, the sisters found an intact body and habit, the Catholic News Agency reported. According to the sisters who witnessed the exhumation, the ribbon, crucifix and rosary were all intact, as was the veil. While the body appeared unchanged, the lining of the coffin had disintegrated. There you go.
There we go, the top 4 business stories and one not-so-businessy story. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 30th of May, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.